Yeah, and with the videos. We're going to do what I coined the phrase questions answered. We've turned them now into videos because people have a lot of questions. Here's the slight problem I have. I'll sit here. I can see better. Here's the slight problem I have. I have to go over to our Jupiter office this afternoon, so I'm going to be leaving about 1:15. We're still, Mike in the office back here who's running the control board and all the cameras. He's sitting there in the dark running everything. You back there, Mike?
Yeah,
you wave. Okay. He's going to give you the tour of the factory. He can answer any questions. If you need any ordering information or prices, I'll be in my office during lunch, and please come in and see me because unfortunately I do have to leave at 1:15. But Jeff is going to, if we haven't run through all our flavors, we're making a total of 6 flavors today. And I'll do my last one after lunch, and then Jeff will have one more, and you'll see that pretty much eats up the day. But if you have questions, the funniest thing about doing this course, or the oddity of doing this course, is we will ask you right now, does anybody have any questions? And crickets, dead silence. And they go, okay, we're going to break for lunch. Everybody runs up. Hey, what if I do this? I know you feel your business is secret, but you're talking to the 2 wrong people for keeping secrets. But it doesn't matter. We're not going to, tell the world. Well, maybe we are. I had a guy who called up a year ago, and he said, I have a new invention. What is it? Do I have to get you to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement? I said, no, I can be trusted. I won't tell anybody. Just, 172 countries watching and what planets. No, I won't tell. What are you going to do? He said, well, I take a homemade cookie, and I take a scoop. Are you sure you're not going to tell anybody? I take a scoop of homemade ice cream, and I put it on the cookie. And I put another cookie on top, and I wrap it in foil. I said, wow, that's amazing. What are you going to call it? He goes, I'm going to call it an ice cream sandwich. I said, holy expletive delete, you're going to take over the world. Of course, we've been eating Eskimo pies, since we were 2 years old.
Interesting that you say that, because I invented the Cookie Witch. 2 chocolate chip cookies, vanilla ice cream rolled in chocolate chips. Remember those?
When was that?
That was in 78, something like that.
Okay.
I invented that.
Well, that was Chipwich came out of that.
Correct.
They were my customers.
Correct. Chipwich.
Yeah, we had that was interesting because New York push carts were just unbelievably dirty and ugly and everything else. And Chipwich came along and spent. Sometimes you spend money. Spent $1,000 on advertising on the side of the carts. Nobody else's carts in New York
nice and
looked
white,
like anything.
Clean,
nice and white,
clean.
Nice umbrella, and they were so pretty. You walked up, and the Chipwich then I think was like $1.50, which everybody else was 40 cents for an Italian ice. It was outrageous how much they were charging. Always sold out because it was a great product and it was clean.
Chipwich.
And so I know you're going to talk about, don't worry about the cost of flavors. But anyway, the point is, now's a great time to ask questions. And whatever you're thinking of doing, I can guarantee you they want to hear it too because they're thinking of it too. They're not
Yes, sir.
They're not in your neighborhood. They're not going to steal your ideas.
Yes, sir.
The syrup that you used when you made the strawberry ice cream and the ingredients, it seemed a little pricey. Why not use just like a few ounces of some flavoring, strawberry flavoring?
Good question. I'll take it.
Please do.
Here's the deal. This product, whether it's ices or ice cream, there's nothing on earth as profitable as this. We did numbers in our class yesterday, and it's silly. The profit is silly. But let's talk about using expensive ingredients as opposed to using less expensive ingredients. My idea was to make ice cream that tastes like when we were kids. When I go to the store and buy Oreos, I don't buy Oreos. I buy Oreos. Oreos, $3.99 for a 3-strip cellophane bag of Oreos. Walmart brand, $2.99, even $1.99. So there's $2 you can save on a batch of ice cream. Why didn't I think of that? $2 on a batch of ice cream. Let's take it one step further. Let's talk about this syrup. That bottle cost me $5. The strawberries cost $8, I think, or something for the bag of strawberries. That's $13. Add the mix in. Mix is $25. It's less, but let's say $25. So how much you have? Come on. How much you have?
Roughly
$33.
$30?
38.
13 and 25, yeah, 38.
$38. So we have $38 using the best things we can, right? Frozen strawberry is more expensive than fresh, that's for sure. So we have $38. Let's round it off to 40 because we'll throw a little vanilla in too. So we have $40 to make a batch of ice cream.
2 tubs.
Hang on.
Okay.
That translates my machine out of 6 gallons. I'm going to get 6 gallons of ice cream out of that. And we've spent $40. How much a gallon have I spent? What?
$6.
$7 maybe?
$6.50.
$6.50. So I've spent $6.50 to make a gallon of ice cream. How many ounces in a gallon?
128.
128. How many servings? 10 good servings.
Big servings.
10 good big servings at $6 a serving. So I'm taking in 60, and what did it cost me to make it? $6.50. So if I use cheaper ingredients, it'll cost me $6.25. $6. Who cares? Who cares? You're going to make the best product on earth. Best ice cream in the world, because you're not going to use that cheap stuff. So when you have to make Oreo ice cream, what are you going to buy? Let me see. Schmorios, $1.99. Oreos that we remember as a kid. 40 years ago, we were dipping Oreos in a little milk and eating them, and that taste is what I want in the ice cream. I don't want Schmorios. I want Oreos. I don't want Schmickers. I want Snickers. I don't want Schmem&Ms. I want M&Ms. Because you know, when you go into the store and you buy fake M&Ms, whatever they're called, they don't taste the same, do they? No, not even close. So why would you make ice cream with that, knowing that your profit is going to go down 50 cents on a gallon of ice cream? It doesn't make any sense. So always, always use the best ingredients. And many of you won't, because when you're shopping, you're going to look and you're going to say, $18, $5, well, I'm not spending that. But you'll be making a big mistake.
And when you take it and translate it into Italian ice, $10 a tub. And that $10 at $2.75 a scoop is going to, because we give a smaller scoop, it's more than enough. It's going to yield $260. So take away your $10 cost, you've made $250 on 1 tub of ice. It's the difference between something that you could sell at a baseball stadium that's just cold and that's it, or something that's going to create lines around the block and you've got a reputation. I was just speaking with a gentleman here, and he was from New Haven, and he said, did you ever hear of a place called Libby's? Oh yeah, that was Mr. Liberato. Probably been in business for 50, 60 years. And right there in New Haven has the entire reputation as the best Italian ice. You go into New Haven, you go to Libby's. I mean, that's what you want. You want to be known as the best.
How could his ices possibly be better than anyone else's?
Ingredients.
Yeah, of course.
That's it.
Of course.
Same machine, same sugar, same
Of course,
water.
same water, same sugar. It's the ingredients. Mm-hmm. So does that answer your question why we use Torani flavors instead of Bazzani flavors?
Well, something like a Green Mountain strawberry. You're only using a few ounces compared to the whole bottle that you were using. I was just asking because of your preference.
Well, Green Mountain is a high quality. It's an extract. What Jeff uses is not an extract. The Green Mountain is condensed down. So is the vanilla. The vanilla is condensed down. And so then the other thing that comes into play, but you're both buying great stuff, as opposed to buying something from national brands, which is going to be what the cheap companies use. you're already with Green Mountain using a higher quality product. So you are buying better quality.
The only
and then
reason
comes
I-
the personal taste.
The only reason I go the other route is because it says on the cover of my book, I go supermarketing. That's what I like to do. I like to buy things in the supermarket that have a familiarity to me. When I first came here years and years ago, the shelves were lined with number 10 cans of mystery ingredients and a lot of chemicals and a lot of fake flavors, and I didn't want to go that route. So I go to the supermarket, whether it's Restaurant Depot, Walmart, any of them, or online. I shop online too. And I like ingredients that I recognize, I know what it's going to taste like, and it brings me back. Ice cream is a kid's food, and we're all kids when we eat it. When you eat ice cream, you go right back to being a kid, and that's what I want. I want that feeling of over me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who else?
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
To the mix opposed to mixing your own. Can you mix your own half and half, and however you want to do it in these machines, or do you have to use the pre-bought, pre-mixed mix?
I like to tell people you can do anything in America you want. There's no limit.
Like this mixed batch, is it like as expensive?
Well,
or
there's
more
a key
expensive?
word, and the key word is pasteurized, right?
Yeah, you can do it legally, but it's going to take a lot of equipment, and you're going to now become not an ice cream parlor, but a dairy.
So
And will
you
you-
have to have pasteurized?
You would have to
can
buy a
buy a
pasteurizer,
pasteurizer.
and the Department of Health is going to be in bed with you. You might as well build them an office. They're going to be in the back room watching you all
And
day long.
the bottom line, will you save money doing it yourself?
No,
of
because
course not.
cream. The cows only produce so much cream, and a dairy can make more money selling it to you in half-pint containers than they can you calling them up and saying, "I want 50 gallons of heavy cream." They're going to laugh.
So
You know
it's
why?
easier to work with mixes, did not-
And you can get it anywhere.
Mix is a terrible term. It's a blend. The cow was milked at 4 this afternoon,
Good word.
and they they separated it into milk, cream, and skim milk, and then they reblended it to be a certain fat content, and then they pasteurized it, homogenized it, refrigerated it, and delivered it to you. All that's done while you're sleeping, and it's delivered at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning to your store fresh.
25
We
bucks.
make, the gentleman who's going to do gelato, we make better gelato in the United States of America than Italy ever could. Now, that'll get me just a ton of emails and letters, but here's the facts.
How many dairy cows are there in Italy?
There are none.
Okay.
There are no dairy cows in Italy, or maybe there's one Bessie, but there's beef cattle. But the milk, the cattle are on the pampas in Argentina. They milk them in Argentina, and then they They take the milk product, and they put it through a series of screens invented by a company called Henningsen Foods, people I grew up with, and they turn it into a powder. They then ship the powder to Bologna, Italy, where it's packed in nice foil bags and then shipped by boat to, it's already got more sky miles than I do. It's then shipped by boat to Newark, New Jersey, and then it's shipped to you in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And you then have to take this and reconstitute it with water or milk. Now compare all the travel that this has taken and how many processes it's gone through as compared to the cow got milked at 4 this afternoon. It got processed, meaning blended, at the dairy and delivered to you at 7 o'clock in the morning. Our base products are fresher than this ever could be. Yes?
On the mixes, the places like Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs, are they using mixes? Or
Yes, they are.
Of course.
Yeah, but they're so big, they're their own dairy. They're their own dairy. Yes?
Yeah, but question, if you want to make custards, like French vanilla and so forth,
Yeah.
eggs are kind of tricky to do. What do you recommend?
There are ways to do eggs. If you talk to iRice Company, they have a terrific product. iRice is in Philadelphia, and they have a fantastic product called Bavarian Base. And this is the first ingredient is pasteurized egg yolks. So this is the way to do it. You just open this up and put it in. Eggs are very dangerous, extremely dangerous, and they just get more so. If you want to, and The health department, you buy that blend from the dairy, and you put this base into it from a can, and the health department says you don't have to repasteurize because this is an ingredient. This is how convoluted the laws are. They look at this as an ingredient, like putting in strawberries or mint chip. So you do this, and you've got a great base. There's a few places around the country that sell custard mix, and we have a custard setting on our machines. It's made with a very low air content. You just push custard, and it'll make you frozen custard. But putting egg yolks in yourself, I don't even like putting them into cake batter. Yes?
Yes, speaking of pints, what do you think of the protein-infused pints that they sell at the supermarket? I think they taste like birthday cake frosting.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Oh, you mean like the Halo? Halo. Oh, here we go again. Last time I talked about this, they had to edit out the whole thing. So I'm not going to berate Halo again. But I'll just leave it at it's not a very good tasting ice cream. I doubt it'll be around much longer. It doesn't have, and it's really not what you're looking for. I'm working with some private entities connected to universities about adding protein, real protein. Whey isolate is when you take the byproduct of making cheese is this milky liquid called whey. And if you take that and condense it down and purify and purify and purify it, it comes out to be something called whey isolate protein. And I drink it a couple of times a day. It's not the most wonderful tasting thing in the world, but builds strong bodies 12 ways. But
that's what they said about Wonder Bread.
That's why I said it. That's why it's coming, and you're going to see it. But it's going to be done by individuals like yourself, who will have some videos on it one day, and it'll just say you add this much whey isolate to it, and it won't even be noticeable.
But why?
Because people are looking at, in my personal case, being a diabetic, I'm so low on the protein blood test that I'm off the charts low. And so I could eat this product, and I'm going to eat ice cream anyway. Why not?
So this is
good
where
to it?
you intend to get your protein intake from, eating modified ice cream.
And I'm not going to do it from eating a steak. No, that's right.
Okay.
So there's a place for everything. So it's coming along. It'll never be a gigantic market, but it's going to be an interesting market. It's going to happen quickly. Yes?
I have a question on the machine. He was asking to get less air content and for it to be harder. Is there a setting on there?
Yeah. I invented the infinite overrun control, and nobody else has it. And it's really a simple process. You put heavy cream into this container, and you stir it by hand, and it's going to remain heavy cream. You can't stir it fast enough. You take an electric mixer, and you put it in there, a cake mixer, and boom, it blows up into whipped cream. So my machines were always designed to make, if you want to call it that, whipped cream ice cream. We call it homemade ice cream. I designed a way to slow the drive down to any speed I want, and the slower I spin it, the less air I get in the product. The trick is, when you slow down a motor or when you dim the lights in your dining room, you got a 100-watt bulb and you're taking the power away. You dim it down to a romantic 20 watts and you've got very low light, but that bulb is barely even working. So if I did that to a machine, it would lock up, it would freeze up. My invention, which nobody has been able to copy for 16 years now, no matter how low I go, it's still the full horsepower of the motor. So it's opened it up from this just being a homemade ice cream machine to any frozen dessert on earth. And we're the only people who have it.
So when he pulls it out, it's not going to have more air, but it's going to be firmer ice cream.
Not necessarily firmer, because I want to be able to get it out of the machine. It's going to be more dense. It's going to weigh. I can double and triple the weight.
Setting on that for that.
There's a bunch of them. We started homemade. We go down to super premium. We go to gelato. Down to frozen custard is the heaviest.
So the frozen custard is the one that turns the least time.
That's correct.
So,
yeah.
Estaba diciendo de la pregunta que me hizo.
And nobody else can do that. Yes. Right there.
How does adding alcohol to
Donde
the
da
base
menos
ice cream?
revoluciones.
It makes for a lot more fun ice cream.
In terms of actually
We are the only machines on the market. The only machine. We're the only machines on the market where you can add alcohol right into the machine. Alcohol is not going to freeze. It freezes at, I think, minus 243. I could be wrong by a degree or two. But it's going to stay in suspension. So we're the only machines where the alcohol goes right into the machine, and it will freeze and stay in suspension in the ice cream. Every other machine on the market, they're not as powerful as ours, refrigeration-wise. You have to add it afterwards, and your problem is you immediately take hard ice cream and you're making it soupy, which is then going to cause it to have ice crystals. So I don't care what the alcohol is, it can go into that machine, and it's a lot of fun to do.
Thank you.
Yes?
On the pints, which you said is a hard market and all of that, do you just use your regular machine, take a pint, and it's like you just create your own little manufacturing line, or do you, like, how do you recommend to do that?
I can take a certain number of pints out of the machine. See, here's the problem. We could compare the batch freezer to your oven at home for a minute. Let's call your oven at home where you cook a batch oven, because it is. You're making a batch of something. You're putting a batch of steak into the oven. You're putting a batch of tater tots in, a batch of green beans. When that steak is done and it's medium rare in 10 minutes, you take the whole batch of steak out. We take the whole batch of ice cream out. If I wanted to fill pints, or if I wanted to take out individual slices of steak, you'd like one slice, he'd like a slice, you'd like a slice, and I'm cutting there at the oven and taking it out, it's medium rare. And then I go and get another one. It's a little more well done. And then keep going, taking out slices or pints out of the machine. That ice cream, the steak is transforming to be well done because it stayed longer in the oven. If it stays in the batch freezer, it's going to change the air content. It's going to be one air content, and then it's going to go up, 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 up. And the kiss of death of business is inconsistency. You want the same product as it was 5 years ago as it'll be 5 years from now. So, no, you can't successfully. You can do it. I have done pints, especially on the CB350, because the quantity is smaller. But I know Capajani one time came out with a $3,000 optional head on their machine to fill pints. And it went off the market just as fast as it came on because it flew in the face of what a batch freezer is. A batch freezer is not a soft ice cream machine. It's not a one cone at a time. So all their pints coming out of it, you can't go against physics. Were getting lighter, and the first ones were heavy and the last ones were lighter. They got sued on, they had to take them all back. So the option is, the way I do it, if I have a big pint business, is I make 2 big tubs of mint chip and I put them right away in the freezer. And then I go make another flavor, chocolate mint chip, and I put them in the freezer. And then after about 40 minutes, I pull the first tubs out and I assign someone at a low salary level to take a spade, not a spoon or a scoop, but a spade, and I fill those pints. And I can do them very quickly and put them back in the freezer. Little secret, when you put them back into the freezer, take that pint and you just put the lid on it, turn it upside down, because now it'll freeze. And with gravity, when the customer takes the top off, it's full right to the top. If there happens to be a little air pocket in there, as soon as you put your spoon in, it'll collapse. We're not cheating the public. It's already calculated into what a weight of a pint of ice cream has to be.
So you say.
Yes. And then if you want to spend $8,000, a company called Sawville, S-A-W-V-E-L, Sawville Automation, makes $1 million pint fillers, but they also make one for about $6,000 or $7,000. You make the ice cream, you pour it in a hopper, and you push a foot pedal. You put a pint under it, push the foot pedal once, take it away. Pint, foot pedal, pint, foot pedal. That's going to speed things up.
Is that another low-salaried employee?
Yes, but there are no low-salary employees anymore. I mean, labor and electricity are going to be your 2 most challenging costs going forward. So anything you can do to save on labor is great. Yes,
in the back
there.
So, question just about that. I worry about labor, worry about electric, and worry about rent. Where's the best spot? I mean, if you want to get a great spot, like you're saying, in a rich neighborhood, you're going to be paying top dollar for that rent. So, does it justify? Are you able to make the money? No.
No.
So you really got to try to get middle class?
Absolutely middle class.
Anywhere.
With
Your
kids.
goal is not the income of the clientele. Your goal is the rent.
Yeah.
You got to think backwards. You have to assign yourself a value that you can afford to pay in rent. We know what that value is. We discuss it at length in my class, and that's where you look for a place. The way to do it is to go to the nicest part of town, the best area. I'd love to be in there. It's next to Macy's. It's 2 Italian restaurants. It'd be great. And then it's $7,000 a month, and you just can't do that. So then you get in your car and you drive in concentric circles till you find the magic number rent, and then you know where you have to open.
What is the magical number?
And what your wallet can afford.
I'll talk. It's
I got a place for $2,000 a month.
okay.
It's a good neighborhood.
Okay.
A lot of people, they have money and everything.
Okay.
In New Orleans.
10
So
years lease.
that's pretty,
10-year lease. Okay.
that's pretty good.
After 3 years, it goes up 150. My term, when the lease finish, I will pay $2,750.
Okay, that
10
might
years
work
from
for
now.
No
you.
real estate tax, nothing. You pay the insurance and everything.
What's the square footage? How big is it?
1,500.
1,500. Is that a good size?
Hey, one thing about square footage. Do you know the difference? This is a facetious question. Do you know the difference between a 85 square foot that he started with and 3,300 square foot? The real difference between it? A whole lot of mopping. So you don't necessarily rate your success by the square footage. You buy square footage by what you need.
So what do you think, what would you need?
1,000?
1,000 square?
1,500? What would you say?
I know nothing.
Of course you do.
The optimum is $1,200 a month for 1,200 square feet. That's my target.
Okay.
I'm traveling down to South Florida next week to help 2 people open up stores, to find locations, and that's what we're going to look for. There are a few spots that are gold that you should look for, in my opinion, and that's what we'll do. And we'll do it in one day. I'll find them a spot in one day, both people, in different towns. It's simple, very simple.
1,200 and 1,200 square feet in South Florida?
Yeah, right outside of Aventura. And I haven't been there. I've never been there, but I'll find it. Because there's the secret spot that we look for, and they're there. They're there.
And so what if you get that, but you can't get a long lease? What if it's... they'll say, "Hey, we'll do
lease.
that."
I don't even concern
You don't
myself
care?
with a lease. No.
So what if it was a 3-year lease, you got it at 1,200, at the end of the 3rd year, they say, hey, listen, you're doing great, your rent's 3,600.
No, they're not going to do that. The most they're going to do is a cost of living, a COL, and that's 4.5. Maybe they'll go up 5, but they can't do the other way. And in 3 years, just my opinion, it won't matter. You'll be going to the bank every Monday with a satchel.
You will. We've just showed you what it costs to make the product.
No, I see.
I went to the bank with it yesterday.
I mean, I see, but the thing I worry about is ice cream's not like pizza. For instance, pizza's high markup also. People eat a lot of pizza. You don't have to get as many customers. It seems to me that you need to have more customers in the ice cream business than you would in a business that's more like...
Name one person that you know who doesn't eat ice cream. I can name a half dozen people who don't eat pizza, but I can't name anyone who doesn't eat ice cream. Jeff has said this over and over again. Everybody in the world either eats ice cream or wants ice cream. It's the only food that's that way. It is
Your
universal.
customer base is 7 billion people.
Yeah.
That's your customer base. Is that enough?
Well, I mean, obviously it's not in your area.
Wherever-
You can't focus 7 billion.
Right, but wherever you open up, let's say you open up in Passaic, New Jersey. I've never been there. You open up in Passaic, and the population of Passaic is 1.2 million people. How many of those 1.2 million people want what you're selling? I'd say 1.2 million. Everybody wants ice cream.
Yeah.
All you need to do when you find your place is put a sign with an arrow. 2 words with an arrow on the street. Ice cream that way. And then you'll get customers. And then me and 9 other people here will tell you how to make every customer come back, a repeat customer, and tell their friends about it. Yes?
So, we've been, going to a lot of ice cream stores lately, or shops. Some people, most make it on premises, but we actually have learned that not everybody does. Or if they have more than one shop, they make it somewhere else, and then they bring the ice cream to that shop. How important is it to say homemade on premises, do you think? Do people even care?
If you open up in your town selling Hershey's ice cream, let's say, fine, you're in business, you're selling ice cream, people are coming in. But anybody could come in and advertise homemade, and everyone's going to go to the homemade because we have a perceived notion. Back when I lived in Westchester County, we had a pastry shop, and right next door was a supermarket. The supermarket sold Mrs. Smith's pies. The pastry shop made his own fresh pies. Everybody bought their pies at the pastry shop because you have it in your head that it's better, it's fresher, it's going to have less chemicals, and 99% of the time that's absolutely true. Turns out he was a lousy baker, and the Mrs. Smith's would have been a better deal. But people, if you open up, if you're the first person in town, nobody else is going to come in and sell homemade ice cream if they have a quarter of a brain, because the best they could hope to do is to get half your business. And I tell them, I'm not saying I'm the Oracle of Delphi, that I know what everybody's going to do, but if someone calls up here and says, oh, I want to open up in Savannah, Georgia, next to the Art University, I'd say, fine, you can do that, we can help you, but there's already Leopold's Ice Cream, and he's been there since 1923, and if you're lucky, you might get 10% of his overflow. Why would you do it? You'd go pick another town where you can be the queen of the town. So you don't have that with Hershey's or Breyers or Bluebell or anybody else.
Well, to answer your question, there are 3 reasons why you're going to get into the ice cream business. Number 1 is profit. And you won't make much less profit selling pre-bought ice cream than you will your own ice cream. That's not going to be a determining factor, right? It's very small difference in the profit you'll make, very small. So why then would you choose to make your own ice cream? And the other reason is art. When you make your own ice cream, you can make your own flavors. You can come up with anything you want. You can go regional flavors, you can go ethnic flavors, you can make party flavors, you can make candy flavors. Wherever you are, you can gear your flavors to your market. And the other one is fun. And you'll have fun making your own ice cream. It's a blast.
Let me expand on that, because I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
The reason she asked, she's focusing on the made on premises.
Yeah.
Because on our property, we have a 2,400 square foot building that we could actually convert part of into a commercial kitchen and then rent a smaller space in beautiful downtown historic McKinney and sell the ice cream there. So her point was, is that appeal made on premises that important, or could we make it back at our place?
The key is homemade.
Yeah.
I don't think people care if you make it here or here.
I think you're splitting hairs.
Yeah, you're splitting hairs. Homemade is homemade.
And listen, if you need to get the word out, do some school tours. I do a lot of homeschool tours where they want to show the kids what a factory looks like. It has nothing to do with the school. Do a few of those because the word will certainly get out. But no, that's really splitting hairs. It is homemade. Yeah. Just to tell you a very silly law, up in Connecticut, you can't say homemade ice cream unless you live in the building. It's got to be your home. Can't even be your second home. Can't even be an office. It has to be where you reside. The best you can do in Connecticut is made on the premises. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I would like to add one thing to your thing, probably good for you.
Yes, sir.
Is now that you said that, right? They have their commercial where they're making the ice cream. They're supplying their store, right? Just like you said about the ice. If somebody comes over, hey, I want to buy ice cream, and he says, yeah, you want to open it up? Fine. He sells them the ice cream, but they say it's homemade because they made it. Does that work? Instead of him having a second location, he has one location making homemade ice cream. I come to him and say, I want to open up an ice cream store. I want to use his homemade ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
So can I put it on my store as homemade ice cream?
Absolutely. I've got a customer. I've got a customer called Longford's Ice Cream.
The wholesale aspect of it. You know,
And you can have
retail is great, but
and
wholesale might be better for us.
And plus, you can always say, all the people that come to you, all those people can say, it's homemade ice cream.
I have a customer called Longford's Ice Cream up in Portchester, New York. Been around for quite a while. I put them in business. And they make homemade ice cream. And the restaurants he sell to, even he was in Yankee Stadium for a while, advertised Longford's Ice Cream because he had such a reputation. Van Leeuwen is the same way in Brooklyn. Again, one of ours. But Van Leeuwen is all over the place. But everybody knows it's homemade. Same thing with Ample Hills, one of ours. Now it's down in Disney. But people know it's homemade. It doesn't have to be made right in that building. I mean, I think it's kind of fun. If you notice my office here, there are windows looking to all the offices, because if I had all the money in the world in an ice cream parlor, I'd have a picture window into where I'm making the ice cream. Nobody knows how ice cream's being made, and it would be a lot of fun to show them. And then you become a destination besides a great product.
That's how Brooklyn Bagels does.
You have not seen his hidden talent. Jeff's hidden talent is he is a magician, and he can dazzle you with his magic. And every once in a while at his store, he shows it off, and it just adds to the charm of the store. People like that. They like that they're dealing with the owner. The owner is right there, and I mean that's a huge advantage I've always had all my life. Is you're dealing with the president and CEO of the company. What could be better? So it's not some giant conglomerate. People like to know there's a Thompson behind.
Any other
Emery
ice
Thompson.
cream questions?
And the other one. With ice cream, can you mix something? Can you sell something that's like panini or
No,
Nuts.
no,
it's too confused?
Muffins?
no,
or-
because now you're losing sight of what you are. Are you an ice cream parlor or making paninis?
Actually, what I was thinking to put like cafe in the morning, coffee in the morning,
You're not an ice cream parlor then?
and mix it up.
No, you
Because
can't.
ice cream doesn't sell in the morning, it doesn't sell when it gets cold.
That would be like me selling DeLorean cars because I know stainless steel, or refrigerators because I know refrigeration. It would be diluting my brand. Stick to what you know and what you can do. We're going to break for lunch. Anybody need to see me because I'll be leaving here after the next ice cream? Come on in and see me in my office, but we're going to get the food rolling. Is that good with you?
What?